No, not really. Yeah, like now that I really look back, there's always been like a good bit of hesitation.
There we go. Hey, this is our first podcast. We don't have a name. We don't. We just know we want to get together and start talking. This microphone is not connected to the computer. We're using the computer to record because nobody has showed me how to do this yet, and so we're making lemonade. All right. So
This can be figured out.
Yeah, we can figure this out. So my name is Katlyn Wiley, and I'm here with the amazing Jane Ritz. And tell them what your thing is, because
So I am a spiritual guide, which I think is just really funny words to use nowadays. Because it sounds like
hippy dippy.
Yeah,
People
like
don't
total woo woo and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting as I'm like entering the corporate realm with this is the title of who I am, and basically speaking to like individuals and small groups about intrinsic motivation, which is just another word for inspiration.
Really, I was going to say, what's intrinsic is because you want to, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you are so inspired that you just can't not do it. Your heart is calling you to do the thing.
Right.
And you do it usually, I feel like there's also this like altruistic nature involved in it too.
Caring about others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just figured out what altruistic meant like a couple weeks ago. I was watching a TED Talk. And I'm like, oh, so it's caring about others. Okay. So there's that. I am going through the same feeling with what do I call the classes that I'm doing. I am teaching paint classes, but it's not around just painting, which is a skill that if you look at it just as painting, it could be a lot of people wouldn't be interested. But I'm using the act of painting for creative discovery, the process of creative discovery is a skill just like being able to play soccer or tennis or golf. It is the practicing of a creative muscle. And so I find that the ability to improvise and discover is an art that everyone, no matter what their art technically is, can achieve. So I don't want to call it art therapy because I know people would shy away from the fact that therapy. Well, it is therapy, but it's supposed to be also fun. So I am a creative trainer, and who knows if that's. I mean, I just kind of came up with it the other day as I was building my website. Like, yes, that is what I am, and so we'll see where it goes from here. So Jane and I met randomly last year, 2 years ago, a year and a half or so.
Yeah,
last
like
November.
a year and a half.
And I met with Jane. I didn't have anything. I lived in Charlotte. I didn't know who I was, what I was doing. I met Jane to do a collaboration at one of her events, and I ended up coming in for a reading, or what do they call it? A session?
Like a session, yeah.
So we had a session, and within the session, I said the words, I need a creative space. I need a studio. And so what happened was, I think maybe a week or so later, I had one. And then I was there. I was at Clearwater Artist Studios for a year, which was my first studio. And I moved out of it recently to start my creative training business here in Concord. And today is the first podcast that we're doing. And somehow this will just be on YouTube. I don't know how this is going to get out there, but we'll find a way. And I just want to talk about creativity and here's a few topics. Like, is it reserved for, why do people feel like they're not creative? Or that's a good place to start because it's pretty heavy. So in general, from your, what you might consider the answer to why do people have issues finding creativity within what they do?
So, a few things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of goes two different ways. Like, kind of one way of why is there the challenge in finding creativity through whatever it is we're doing. You know, like whether we're the banker sitting at the as a teller, you know, finding creativity in that, right?
Yep.
And also why there are so many people that believe that they're just not creative.
Yep.
Like, oh, I'm not creative. I'm not an artist. Wow. And then like they don't even try.
Right.
So there's those two. So
Okay.
I think why people mostly feel like they just innately are not creative is, I think, a really great place to start, because I think that's like the seed of the limiting belief that has been so implanted and inadvertently nourished, that the seed of I'm not creative has become the reality for most people's paradigm, even though it's not true. Because we are by nature creators. We create. We are therefore creative.
I feel like to add on what you say, maybe put it in my words, it's just like a wet blanket has been thrown on people and they don't know how to take it off, or they don't even know it's there.
That's it. I think that's the big one. So
realizing, for example, if you realize there's a negativity wet blanket over you and it's inhibiting you from seeing the possibilities. For example, if I want to paint a painting, I could believe that I'm not gonna. Oh, man, let me restart. That's the other thing. I have brain farts from time to time.
Oh God, I do too. In the middle of a sentence.
Yeah, it's embarrassing because I'm like, man, I had a point and I think I thought about it too hard. Can you remind me where I was? That also helps me if you like put me back on track.
Yeah, I'm not good at that either.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your honesty.
Oh yeah, totally.
But a person, let me start from scratch just because this is a common occurrence. A wet blanket. There's like the perspective that a person believes that they are a certain way is how they are telling themselves where their place is in society or whatever realm they're in, whatever community. My perspective is I'm not creative, and so they believe that, and so it's become second nature, and so they reinforce these negative thoughts by believing them and thinking about it. As long as that guy's going, I think we're good.
Nice.
But so the wet blanket what is a wet blanket? It's uncomfortable, it's heavy, and it's encompassing how you move. I feel like there is a wet blanket of negativity that is on everybody, that they need to learn how to feel and be aware of, that it's on and that it's encumbering their movements, and that their thought choices are, they're not where they could be. They could be in a place where it could be anywhere, whatever you desire. I believe that's what creativity can do, is it can give you the awareness of this negativity that you are born into, or that you've accepted, the wet blanket of this
It's like a label. The wet blanket is like a label. It is that I am this or I am not that, right? And it's just this heavy burden that we carry around on us. And so many times we don't know we're carrying it. We just feel the ick of it. And then sometimes when we realize that we've been carrying this ick, it's kind of like, well, I don't want this ick on me anymore. And then it's kind of like, well, I'm too afraid now to take it off because I'm going to feel too naked, too exposed, too vulnerable.
A different place.
Yeah, no one's really seen this of me before. What if they judge it? What if they reject it? What if they say that it's not the right shape or it looks funny? And I think that's with the who we are, and then whatever it is that we create, because whatever it is we create is us. Like, it's an aspect of us, it's a feeling, it's an emotion, it's an old thought, it's a new thought. It's something that is only something that we can create. So there's a huge vulnerability component to that.
Yeah.
And putting it out there is open for a critical eye.
Absolutely.
And being okay with that.
Yeah. That's a struggle. That was a struggle for me to get there, because I'm an open person. I just always have been. I've struggled with that because my honesty has put my foot in my mouth many times. But being open and honest and then putting it out there and then getting the ridicule, that's a whole nother step of accepting your creativity. People are going to say what they want to say. And I would say 99% of the time it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with their issues.
Yeah.
Which is, there's nothing wrong. Everyone has issues. Not hating on anyone for having issues. But I want to encourage people to have a sort of, they don't see these issues that they're having sometimes. And so I think one of the biggest issues is this visibility of what you're actually doing, and so your perception, you think you're not putting your baggage on someone else. I feel like wouldn't it be nice if there's a way that everyone could, without being upset, be told, hey, this is something you might want to look at, but you can't tell people. They have to find it from within, and that means there's no control. No one has any control over this except the person who's wielding the body and the brain. You have to decide to see it, which that takes a lot of work to decide and then to actually see it. There's a 2-step process.
When I think too, it's like whenever I think that the door is the most gently opened for someone to basically see their own crap, right? When it's through some creative expression, right? So like if I am creatively expressing myself through dance moves, right?
Yes.
And someone can look at me and be like, wow, she has no rhythm. Someone could look at me and be like, she looks like a slut because the way she's moving her body, right? Or I could be looked at as like, is she trying to do the robot? What is that? Right? And whatever that is, through my creative expression, it allows them to feel their old belief systems, their old traumas, their old pain bodies, their own triggers, really. Because if anyone goes to that space of judgment, of like, you're this, you're that, whatever you created isn't good enough, it literally is just what they tell themselves. And then they project it onto you or what you create. So really, to create is like a gift to heal the world. As long as you're brave enough to put it out there and to be okay with the triggers that are touched upon from others.
To be able to let it kind of like water on a bird's wing, or water and oil just rolls right off. It's hard to get that shell around, the protective shell. It takes a lot of self-care and self-love and being able to say no to things that are not helpful to you. And it's okay to say no. And I feel like maybe a lot of people are just really people pleasers. And I mean, at the end of the day, no one's going to help you but you. And I've felt that in many different experiences recently. And it's an eye-opener. And I don't regret any of those feelings. I wanted to say creativity is a way to express your emotional anguish or maybe issues that you're going through, processing through creativity and art, which is what I like to do through movement and painting and visuals. And it says there may be a lot of people who have these opinions about you when you're out there exposing yourselves, and I like to see it as well as you're showing other people who are like you that they're not alone, so they can come and do the chicken dance with you and look like an ass with you. Because that's all I remember. Man, I just want to dance, but no one else is dancing, and I don't want to be the only one. Finally, when I started dancing, other people started coming out. It just needed to be an icebreaker, which not everybody needs to be the soldier of being the first one. I just happen to have that passion within me as I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do what I want. No one's out there, but I want to dance. This is my 18th birthday. I went to a club and there's no one there. I'm like, I just turned 18. I want to dance. Techno music. Only one in that whole place that was dancing, and I didn't give a shit. I loved it. But that's
awesome.
Through creativity, I feel like the people who have the balls or that are in the space to put themselves in front of others. Not only in spite of what other people might say, but give a stage for those who are afraid to take the first leap.
Well, and I think, too, it's not even so much as doing it in spite anymore. It's like, I'm doing it, and, like, there's not even I don't even care what you think. It's like, it's like it's a moot point. Like
Yeah,
spite isn't
true.
even involved
You're right.
anymore. It's like that was our last year. Like there was still that involved. Like I'm gonna do this to prove that I can. I'm gonna prove it to you. I'm gonna go out there and be the first one because
yeah, that was
and
me.
now right
Yep.
me too. And so now we're at this place where it's like no, I'm gonna be the first one because my heart is not gonna shut up until
Yeah.
I let my feet follow it.
Yes.
And that to me is like just up leveled, humaning, and truly being like big inspiration for everyone else who is afraid to be themselves or show themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because then it's louder. It's
the authenticity is there, and I don't think that if you're authentic and you have a message and you just all you got to do is keep saying it, it's eventually going to blow up because of trends and odds,
Yeah.
So another brain fart. I should have a bell. Ding. What were we talking about? Brain farts.
About just being the inspiration and not doing anything out of spite, just doing it because you can't not.
Yeah. I could touch on that because I can admit that there's a person I used to be that was I'll show them I'm so creative. How dare they not include me? I will show them how creative I am. And I mean that's a good motivator, but there's an end to that, which is they don't give a shit about what you're doing.
Right.
So why are you doing it? Well, now I need to realize that I'm doing it because I can't, like you said, my heart won't stop.
Well, and it's like the part of us that have been like, I'll show you,
Yeah.
like I'll show you how creative I am. It never really, for me, like it never really got the response that I wanted.
Never.
Because the people that I was like, finger quote, showing,
Yep.
they didn't care.
They didn't care.
Or they were still going to judge me anyway and be like, whatever, weirdo.
Right.
Or you're not the person that you were last year, so I don't understand. I don't comprehend because you've changed and I haven't. And that right there is also a whole new realm to be walking and creating through. Because it's like, I'm not going to continually create the same thing every day. Like, I'm not going to eat the same meal every day. So I go through phases where, I'm creating story in words, like stories, like typing, right? Like writing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm writing. That's the word. I'm writing. And then sometimes it's like I'm doing a lot of video-y things, or sometimes I'm doing a lot of community service. And however these are being expressed through me, it's like I have my own seasons.
Yes.
And I had to learn to accept that and not think that I was failing in one of those seasons. But honoring the time per season that I'm in, knowing that, like any good garden, I'm going to go back to it when it's time for it to grow. That sounded really good.
That is good.
Gosh, that's like I read it.
A good garden.
Yeah.
It's an awakenness feeling that, because I mirror what you're saying, because I felt that too in the past year. Kind of moving out of Charlotte abruptly and then quitting Facebook. Like a lot of my friends just kind of leaving that whole community of friends and starting kind of fresh out here, and now I'm hitting the scene again. I just feel like that. I'm so different than I used to be, and I think it's a growth period because while I was away and I was in my solitude, my quietness, I was going through all the memories of shit that made me angry, and going through that and giving it a chance, this child within or the hurt person within, to cry and to grieve and then to let it go, and then one thing after another, let it go, and I felt like a lighter person, and I was a different person because I was no longer focusing the energy on like my brain energy, which I'm obsessive when I think. So this obsessive thought process of my friends don't like me, or what I'm doing sucks, or I didn't get enough likes, or shit that doesn't matter. It never, but I look at it now and it doesn't matter. But then I gave it this phantom matter. This phantom, it means so much if I could just get a few likes.
I love that you just said that.
Phantom
matter. Like that makes so much sense. Think about this, right? Because you can, like, it feels heavy.
Mm-hmm.
even though it's this invisible bullshit that we just really just manifested in our head.
Mm-hmm.
However, physiologically, like, it feels heavy.
Mm-hmm.
What we create barely comes out. It's like squeezing out. I gotta create. Oh God.
Force and
phantom matter. God, thank you for that.
You can have it. Hashtag phantom matter.
Right?
That's what today's going to be called.
Yeah.
Let's see what time we're at.
I don't even know.
I don't even know either. 20 minutes. We'll keep going. I hope you all enjoying this. Next time we'll have mics and it'll sound better. And but this is how I feel about social media. It's all about, don't spend time on taking the picture because you're already putting the content out there. This is how I feel. Everyone may not agree. But as long as the content is getting out there, you don't have to spend hours on one picture because you got to keep posting. I post a lot on Instagram, so this is my thought process. As long as you're shooting it, and it doesn't matter if it's not coming out of what it's meant to come out of. It's over here, and we're still capturing it.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
That right there. Because, okay, so say I'm like, okay, I need to be creative because I believe it. I'm a creator because I am creator and I'm creative. Okay, got it. Well then, but I don't know how. Right? People let the how stop them. So if you or me or any of us truly, whenever we let the hows stop us, then like literally this right now wouldn't be happening. Right? Because then we let this this belief system of I don't know and this non-trust to step in and say, F it, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
Like I'll just figure it out.
Because it doesn't matter.
And you go and you grow from there. You know?
Yeah. The only thing, what I want to teach through my fluid painting art is you have no idea where it's going to end up. There's no way to do it the same twice. So the best thing for you to do in this art attack that you might be having or in life, I don't own that one, sadly.
Okay, but it sounds really good when you talk it.
If having, all you got to do is just start, because if you just start throwing paint on the canvas, which is a symbol for just whatever it is that you need to be doing, as long as you just start, you may not do a good job according to you. You may not finish. Something may come of it that may be negative, but you can't see it as it's an opportunity for growth, because as long as you're moving forward, there may be a bump in the road and it may send you to the right, and then you get to go on all the adventures that are down the right path. If that bump wasn't there, you'd be going straight or left, and then you'd have completely different experiences. Yes. And so the best thing that I found is to just go with the flow, let it go with it, and just start throwing paint on a canvas, because there are no such thing as mistakes when it comes to creativity. Mistakes, if you think of evolution, are mutations, and mutations, there are some bad and there are some good. I mean, it is the way it is, and that's the acceptance. If you end up with a mistake, you can look at it as though I can see this as a bad mistake or a good mistake. And you can choose how you see it, and how you move forward.
Well, and so many times we have as humans, right? We've made that mistake, right? We created something and it didn't turn out the way we wanted it.
Yes.
And how many of us said, "Oh God, I can't do it again. I'm never gonna do it again.
I'm the worst.
I'm the worst in the world.
I'll never be anything. Everybody hates me. I'm so fat."
Right? And that's what we've been taught, because what that was that was this belief system. It got reflected back, and someone said, "Yep, that wasn't good enough. You messed up." And I'm like, "Yep, that must be true. I am a fail. I'll never do it again." And so then that happened when I was either 2, 3, 4, 5 yesterday, whatever. And so then I hang on to it and say, I'm not artistic. I'm not creative, because that one, what we called a mistake, which is just total BS. It's literally just another belief system.
Yes. I agree. It is. I think that humans, and I can only really speak for people my age, just because of there's so many variables in upraising. But I think humans you can't make mistake anywhere. And the fact is that if you're going to be in a discovery mode and you're going to evolve and have mutations, you have to take risks, and what happens is most of them are going to fail. And so you have to learn the ability to take a mistake. You need to accept, learn, move on. Because man, I would stay in the I suck phase for how long, and then that wastes how much time, and then it just, the hole gets deeper, and then the faster you can accept yourself from making a mistake, the more progress you'll make in the long run. Because it's a slow play. It's planting seeds everywhere, and then the ones that grow take all your attention. But you got to plant all these seeds first.
So do you feel like, because I feel like the words that we have been taught, right, in our beautiful human language of wording, of saying words like fail and mistake, and as opposed to like lessons, opportunity, neutral.
Yeah.
Like we've even been given this, notion that if I create something and it isn't what I thought it was going to be, or someone sees it and it's not what they thought it was going to be, then it gets labeled, back to the heavy blanket, with, it's a mistake and it's a fuck up.
And you got to carry it.
Right. As opposed to saying like, oh, that was art piece number 417 for you. Awesome. That 417 doesn't look like anything before, anything that you'll ever create again. Cool.
Here, let's throw some more stuff on it.
Yeah. Right. So it's interesting. So then I would say that that's part of our creative responsibility, is to make sure that words of, I guess, like higher self alignment are used as we consciously create moving forward. Because the old words that even were attached to whatever was created don't work anymore.
So I agree with that. David, my boyfriend, when his now ex had Becca, and then they were separating, he went to classes, parenting classes, but they taught him to use certain words with her, and saying good job, you should say well done, because that, I might mess this up, because good job means this is how far you have to go to get a good job. Saying well done does not put a level on it. You did well. I'm pleased. Well, good job means you have done enough to satisfy me. You don't have to do any more. And just simple words and language like that are so important, because they ripple throughout a person's life. Because a child, they grow up like mirroring or growing off their experiences and what they're exposed to, because they're not going to come up with something that they've never seen. They're going to play off of everything that they're exposed to, experiences. So using those words, I think, has a long-term effect. And so the answer to your question is, we should absolutely stop as creative teachers. While creating, we should call out these negative words, because they're not doing anything except reinforcing your negative thought patterns, which we're trying to break, because that's the wall that you build to separate you from the discovery process, the taking risks. The I'm not afraid, because I know that whatever happens, I'll be able to get through it, because look at all that shit I just went through. I'm here, I've made it, I know I can do it. So now that's the confidence of hindsight, right? Is I've lived, I've survived, I am this because of that, and I am not upset. I do not regret. Like, for example, a guy cheated on me, and man, I held on to it for years and years. And so I actually went through a program, Landmark Forum, which I do support, but I do think that they're a little snide on the sales. But I think it benefited me, and that's where I'll leave it. But I became aware that this man did what he did to me, and that's something he's got to answer for. I am now a more empathetic person and a more intimate partner, because I never want to do what I went through to someone else. And having that experience makes me a better partner, better lover, trustworthy. I can go farther in life because of that awful, awful period. And that's why, with my experience looking at that, I think everyone should look at whatever happens to them as a positive. They just got to find it. And it is spinning, but it's positive spinning. So how is it bad?
Right.
If you can see the good that came out of it. And that's just being aware and turning on your awareness, which is another skill you got to practice, I believe.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's totally different because then it affects your thoughts, obviously, your words and actions. And we've been taught what words to say, and then we've been taught what we're supposed to do, and we've been force-fed our thoughts through repetition of outside sources. So it's like it's really a whole new facet of humaning, and we get to be creative with it. You know, like we can't because we can't mess it up. No. As long as we are listening to ourselves and what feels like the gifts in the universe, like what did I get to learn from that experience? You know, that mistake that I made on that canvas, it really wasn't a mistake. I just learned that red and white make pink. Didn't, or whatever, you know, like it's not a mistake, it's a space to learn. And I think that the way you teach and share creativity is really cool because you know, we were talking about the words and like getting those words out. So it's like, and you said this, you said calling these words out. So when you share the way you teach and creativity, really, like it allows people that like that side of the brain to feel the sturdiness and framework of creativity, which is awesome because it activates both hemispheres of the brain.
Oh, cool.
And I think by you calling out during your teachings these old words and clear them out, then there's literally like an aligning process that goes with that. So the way you share, it literally is like activating both hemispheres, getting the third eye, the pineal gland, the middle bit to go whoop-pow, and aligning in a newer belief system that's aligned with like their higher self.
So I want to ask you about the words aligning, just because I'm into the hippie stuff and all that, but I just the language was something, I mean, to be truthful, I never really, it didn't captivate me because I'm in marketing and sales, and you know, I never thought it was very genuine. So for someone who, like, this is your passion, could you educate me on what you mean by self-alignment and higher alignment, and when you mention those?
Yes. So alignment to me is this energetic flow, like the nadis, the meridians, the yin and yang, the sun and moon, the divine feminine, the divine balance, masculine, the human balance within
the up and
down. And what, not necessarily up and down. So there are aspects of us that are like decisive, frameworked. I want to use the word aggressive, not negatively though, just like that, the will to do the thing, the focus, the logic, the framework. And then there's this aspect of compassion, nurturing, intuitive, fluid. And both of these are in one human, right? And so when both of these aspects are moving together, kind of like a beautiful two-wheel kind of system, you can see how it kind of go chugga, 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 and move forward, right? So viewing that as a system that allows, say, energy to flow up and down, like the spinal column.
Okay.
And they're like energy centers in the body that like correlate with this.
Okay.
And interestingly, it also aligns with the brain, because that was like my field of study. It was like how thoughts affect the brain. So when we're going by like gut feeling, like from like old trauma, fear, no security, ungrounded, confused, like total primordial kind of like that, that's the equivalent of like working from the brainstem, the reptilian brain, the less evolved aspects of us.
Less evolved.
Yes.
Okay.
And that DNA is already in us. Like we have that like old school evolutionary stuff that says fire hot, don't touch.
Right.
Like it's in our system.
Right.
And if not, we learn it quick.
Right. Survival of some sort.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you go to the frontal lobe of the brain, which is the conscious thought, the where am I going to go, the forethought, the decisive, like I see where I'm supposed to go in my head and my heart. You know, there's this like the higher thought process.
Sure.
So being able to live your life from more of the frontal lobe is the more evolved human.
Like emotional intelligence.
Yes. Totally emotional intelligence. Yes. And then you have like physical intelligence, which is like brainstem, right? Physical intelligence, this is hard.
Yeah.
So when those combine, to me, that's like spiritual intelligence.
Right.
Because when both of those things align, then the energy flows. And so when I say alignment, it literally is like if you put all the filaments, like all the rainbow in a row, it creates the one bright light.
Yeah.
If one gets heavy and wonky and super red, it changes. It's no longer the white light.
Nice. Okay.
And so it's our energetic body, literally, the way everything moves around.
Yeah.
When it's all in flow, in balance, in harmony, continually in flux, always good.
Now, can someone always you can't always be in continuous harmony, right? Because there's the balance. I mean, isn't it, if you have to have harmony, you have to have the opposite, chaos, right? So you have to go from one to the other on a routine basis.
It is finding that there is beauty and natural wonder and awe in the chaos, and that it's not bad. It's as soon as we go into judgment, we take ourself out of alignment with our higher self, because our baseline vibration as a human, because it's, again, all about the way the thoughts affect the body and the way the thoughts become resonant in our system as an emotion. So the emotional equivalent to our baseline is love. So that's why a lot of cultures talk about their highest power being of love, because that, like, literally, it's where we come from. It's the source of love. We're like love nuggets with like body parts. So, which is cool. So then when we take ourselves out of love, we become static. You know, it's like we have this beautiful picture screen of this white light going, and then all of a sudden we add judgment in. We literally take ourselves out of whack, and we add chaos to our system. We start to see chaos around us. And so what we get to do is be like, I'm seeing a lot of chaos. Observe it neutrally. Oh, that means there's chaos here inside of me. What am I hating on? Like, what am I hating on? Am I hating on my body? Am I hating on what I did? Am I living in regret? Am I freaking out in the future that's never been occurred before, and I'm going into anxiety land? And having this self-awareness, click it in, do a quick scan, and then be able to be like, oh my God, I was just totally hating my butt. I was just thinking about how big my butt was or whatever. And then becoming aware and thanking it for making an appearance. Yay! And that changes, and it literally transmutes the energy of that negative vibe, that old trauma, that old belief system, and it literally transmutes it into love, which is interesting because physiologically we get a shift. We feel more confident, more open, more authentic, and we can then create, which is fascinating to me. That, like, literally alignment, the more aligned we are with our higher self, if you will, meaning love, then we are so much more free. We feel freedom. We feel authentic, we feel honest, we feel capable, we feel safe, we feel secure, we feel open, and we feel liberated.
How does one start on a path to alignment? Say someone's listening, they have no idea. Man, I'm lost. They get what you're saying, or maybe even they don't, but there needs to be some sort of action to at least get on the path. Is there anything you would suggest? Now, I know everyone's different.
Right.
And so not one answer is good for everyone, but like a general term, like just what you tell people on the reg.
You know, what I like to remind people of is that whether you believe you come from one source or the nothing, the is that is, or the nothing that is, because it's all the same. It's the is that is. So we're all from the same is. And we're all human. We're all from Earth. We're all galactic beings because we're all here in the galaxy. like we are. And so there's, first of all, this camaraderie in that, and knowing that none of us have ever done this before, not in these bodies. Whether we believe in reincarnation or not, it doesn't matter. You're only in this body for the first time. So we've literally never done this. And we're all going through it at our own pace, our own timeline, and no one's pace and timeline is better than or worse than anyone else's.
Or identical.
Yeah, and to remember that we are all from the same source, which means we are source, which means you are source. You are source. Literally, your source that came down, if you will, even though there's no space relation. Anyway, you came into your body. Like, you chose to be in your body and have this human experience. So at this point, no matter how lost you are, fuck it. Just live a life and have fun. Because worst case scenario is that you die and said, well, at least I enjoyed that moment of life where I decided to have fun and not care about all the other crap that was bestowed upon me from all the other hurt individuals. And just remembering that, and that you are safe and supported in doing so. And you may reach adversity, and you may reach judgment from outside of you, and that's okay, because that's just where they are. And just reminding of that, just remembering every day, every time we go into those rabbit holes of fear and I'm not good enough and I can't create, I'm too afraid, to just put on your big boy, big girl pants and be like, screw it. I can do this, because I'm not going to be the first one in the world to ever try, and I'm not going to be the last one either. So might as well just jump in the game.
Well, man, I'm going to cut it off here because I know that's a good place to end. I truly love your outlook on life and your ability to not care about the naysayers, because I know they're out there. And, you know, every time I see you, you have a little bit more to give, and a little bit, it's funny. It's like, it's just something I pick up on every time I'm around you. It's just, you're a little bit closer to your goal. Feels like you are aware and you're actively trying, and I appreciate you coming to talk on this first show of mine with the nameless Tuxedo Kat production, talking about creativity. I appreciate you, and I hope you come back again. And would you tell the good folks where they can get your information and any other things on your schedule that you might want to tell folks about?
Yes, I can easily be reached on the website at the www.JaneTheGuide.com, because I'm a spiritual guide, not Jane the Guy. I've learned it's not Jane the Guy. I'm not a dude. Dudes are cool, however, not it. A guide. Anyway, guide. Jane the Guide.
I tell you all the things you need to hear. You know the guide, the Z.
I tell you the things that'll clear out these old rambling thought patterns and remove them.
Ooh, we went Indian.
Yes, it did. I didn't even mean to. I don't even know.
It's, for me, it's either Indian or Irish. Or pirate. It slips into one of those. I don't know.
It's a dance. I know, it's fun.
But that's JaneTheGuide.com.
Yes, and my email is JaneTheGuide@gmail.com, and all my information is on there to be reached. I've been working a lot in the community, so I've been doing a lot of work with nonprofits. So that can all be looked at for anyone that wants to support any community goodness, and they don't even know where to start. I'm a really good avenue for that. And I'm actually getting ready to launch a positive culture and compassion program for the corporate environment.
That's fantastic.
I am so excited, because this is a realm of the world that, like, they deserve to feel good and joyful.
Yes,
and
they do.
And authentic, and still, like, be customer service and take the phone calls and do these, like, jobby jobs. They still deserve, and there's no language or programs that have been given to them. It's all been like extrinsic motivation shit.
Oh yeah.
Where they're like, if you do this, you get the bonus. And they're like, I don't even care about the bonus. I hate my life. I hate my job. I don't even want to be here. And I help to clear that out.
That's awesome. And I sorry to interrupt. I'm super excited because Mr. David Oakley of Boone and Oakley, I had a conversation with him the other day, and he told a story about how his dad was a pottery, someone who makes clay pots, sculptor of some sort. And so he used to tell his son, David Oakley, that you gotta make pots, or the mugs. I hate making mugs, but the mugs is what brings in the money, so then I can support my life, so then I can then have the time to create the sculptures that I want to make. So I feel like people who are in the corporate, maybe not everyone, but I think a handful of them are there because they feel like they don't feel like they have to make their life. They have to make the money to support their life. Artists, I know that's where I was. I had to be in corporate. I'm not a corporate person, but man, I had to make that money. So I think giving them that platform is just perfect. I think it's fantastic. They need it.
I am so excited about it. So I'm looking forward to the only thing I need now, because I have the program totally. Like, everything is, like, ready to go. The only thing that I am creating is the pitch, the tangible pitch, the marketing, things of that nature, because that's that's not my realm. I'm like, I don't know the words to get in on that. Right.
That's what I do. My name is Katlyn. I know how to market. Well, that's my perspective.
Right.
But all right. Well, Jane the Guide is here at the. We're in the TuxedoKat Studio. It's just really my computer. We're sitting in front of these microphones.
We could have pretended to be talking into them though the whole time.
I'll next time I'll have this set up. Today was just a hey, let's get this done. Yeah, look, we could be all official.
Yeah, we could totally do this.
But hey, tune in every Friday. I'm gonna be doing this podcast. It is really just to get our thoughts out there. If this speaks to you, comment. Or send an email, contact Jane the Guide, janetheguide@gmail.com. And thanks, everybody. We're coming, not live, but from Concord, North Carolina.
And we are alive.
And we're alive. And it's historic Concord, not Concord Mills. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.